And welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to look at a couple of things with regards to the executive branch, such as who can be president and how is that president elected. All right, in the Constitution, the executive branch is the second branch that is enumerated or listed as far as rules and powers. So in the executive branch, we have the president, the vice president, and their cabinet. These are executive departments. In order to be president, one must be 35 years of age. Additionally, they have to be a naturalized citizen, which means to be born in the United States, a U.S. resident for 14 years, and they can only serve 2 4-year terms max, which only became part of the Constitution in the 1940s. So the executive branch enforces laws, acts as the chief diplomat dealing with other nations, can issue executive orders, and is allowed to give pardons. So in order to become president, one must win the Electoral College. Now, in our Electoral College, each state gets a number of electoral votes, or electors, and that is determined by adding the number of representatives that state has in the House and adding it to the number of senators they have, which is always 2. So in the U.S. currently, in order to be president, one must win 270 electoral votes, or sometimes more known as 270 to win. Because New York is a fairly large state with population, New York has 27 representatives in the House and 2 senators. Therefore, if a candidate were to win New York, he or she would get 29 electoral votes towards their 270. Because of this, certain states become very important for candidates. California and New York, with large populations and electoral votes, are typically won by the Democratic candidate, while Texas is won by the Republican candidate, though that can change and may change in the future. Both candidates will typically campaign in what we call swing states, states that sometimes swing between Republican or Democrat during presidential elections. 3 main examples are Ohio, North Carolina, and Florida. On election day, you as a citizen will go and vote for the candidate you believe is best for office. Then, the electors of your state will pledge themselves as delegates for that candidate. So in New York, whoever wins the most votes will get 29 delegates. This process, however, is not without controversy. In 2016, candidate Donald J. Trump had won 62 million votes of Americans, while Hillary Clinton won closer to 65 million. While Hillary Clinton had won 2 to 3 million more votes of American voters, she did not win the presidency. The reason is because Donald J. Trump had won the electoral vote. He had won 304 electoral votes through the states, while she won 227. Part of that discrepancy is explained by how each state is apportioned electoral votes. While California has more people than many smaller red states, they do get less electoral votes when they are added up and compared. One argument in favor of the Electoral College is that in the United States, more Americans live on the coasts in what are considered more liberal or left-leaning democratic states and cities. Therefore, the needs and the preferences of smaller states that tend to be more red or Republican would not be honored. A counterpoint to this is that in a Democratic or Republican system, there should be one citizen, one vote. Therefore, the popular vote would be the only metric or measurement that should count. In American history, there have been 5 instances where the president who was elected did not win the popular vote. 2 of these have occurred in the last 20 years. For those of you that are following along and doing your work at home, we welcome you to follow this video, pause when it tells you to pause, and take the opportunity to try to answer the questions on your own. If you do not do that and copy verbatim or directly from this video, it will minimize or reduce your learning as well as your memory. And when you take the test, it will not be to your advantage. If you have any questions throughout, you can always rewind, replay, record questions, and attend extra help. So please follow along, check your answers with ours, and let us know how you're doing. So as you see the answers going down on the screen, just going to give you some quick background to each. The executive branch's main job is to enforce laws that are written by Congress and ratified by the president, or written by Congress and passed by a 2/3 majority over a veto. So the president, the vice president, and the cabinet, a group of advisors, are in the executive branch. And their main job is to advise and give information to the president, and they usually have areas of expertise and experience that the president does not. In order to become president, one must be a naturalized citizen or born in the U.S., at least 35 years of age, and has been a U.S. resident permanently for 14 years. Again, the Electoral College is the system that elects the president. It is not necessarily the popular vote. As we see in the 2016 election, candidate Hillary Clinton had over 2.5 million more votes than President Donald J. Trump. But because he won more electoral votes throughout the states, he was declared the winner. As you are checking your answers for comprehension questions, please be sure to pause the video if it is moving too fast. You could also rewind it as well. And again, please do not hesitate to reach out to us if you have any questions or concerns.